You've been pretending. And what's scary is, you've gotten so good at it you don't even realize it anymore. You smile when something inside you is breaking. You laugh when you feel unseen. You downplay your wins. You pretend you don't care about standing out, like you're just chill, just humble. But deep down, you know you're lying, and it's killing you. This isn't modesty. It's not virtue. It's fear. Fear that if you shine too brightly, they'll hate you. That if you speak your truth, they'll leave. That if you step into your full power, they'll call you arrogant, selfish, too much. But here's the twist. This false humility you wear like armor, it doesn't protect you. It erases you. Carl Jung didn't need to scream it. He whispered it in every line he ever wrote. What you deny enslaves you. What you accept transforms you. And that means every time you pretend to be less, you become less. You've been taught your whole life to shrink, to say thank you even when someone hands you nothing, to smile politely when your worth is ignored, to stay quiet, to be digestible. And if you ever dared to shine, someone, somewhere, made sure you felt guilty for it. So you learned to hide, to tuck away the fire, the ambition, the desire to be seen, felt, heard. And what happens when those who can change the world start hiding? The mediocre rise. The loudest voices in the room are often the most hollow. And you, the one with something real to offer, stay silent, polite, invisible. You think it's noble to be humble. But this isn't humility. It's self-betrayal dressed as virtue. It's fear pretending to be grace. And that fake humility? It's rotting you from the inside. Jung talked about the shadow, the part of yourself you suppress. Most people think the shadow is just the bad stuff, anger, envy, rage. But what hides in your shadow is also your greatness, your charisma, your intelligence, your gift to lead, to love, to light a path others can't even see. And every time you downplay that, to make someone else comfortable, you bury your own power. That's not humility. That's spiritual suffocation. You want to know what's actually selfish? Pretending to be less when you could be inspiring others, when you could be changing lives, when your presence could spark something in someone else. But instead, you stay small, out of fear. And that fear, it breeds frustration, quiet, slow, toxic, and it leaks into your thoughts, into your relationships, into the way you silently judge those who do dare to stand out. Because deep down, you're not angry at them. You're angry at yourself for not trying. You tell yourself you're humble, but really, you're hiding. And every time you hide, you feed the lie that you're not worthy, that you're not enough. Jung said the path to becoming whole isn't about being good. It's about being real. It's about integrating the shadow, not running from it, not denying it, not locking it up and throwing away the key. It's about owning the fact that you're powerful, that you can stand tall, that you deserve to be seen, even if it makes people uncomfortable, that you might be feared, that some people might hate you, but they'll never be able to ignore you. And here's the real question. Would you rather be hated for being real or loved for being fake? Because that's the choice. Every time you shrink, every time you pretend, you choose comfort over truth. You choose approval over purpose. And the price for that is your soul. The world doesn't reward the one who hides. It rewards the one who shows up, fully, flawed, loud, clear, unapologetic. Think of someone you admire, truly admire. Did they pretend to be small, or did they step into the space that was already theirs? History doesn't remember those who stayed quiet. It remembers those who owned who they were, even when it cost them. This isn't a call to arrogance. It's a call to authenticity. To stop shaping yourself to fit into places that were never meant for you. To stop trimming down your soul so it doesn't poke anyone. Because the truth is brutal. If your greatness offends someone, they were never really for you. They were for the smaller version of you. The one who played nice, played weak, played fake. And the day you stop playing, that's the day you set yourself free. Jung didn't talk about being good. He talked about being whole. That means your rage and your compassion, your softness and your strength, your grace and your pride, your silence and your roar. Not one or the other, all of it. Because only when you stop performing do you start living. Right now, you're acting. You're on a stage. The script? It's been handed to you since childhood. Be polite, be quiet, be the nice one, be easy to love. And while you perform, others rule. While you hesitate, others dominate. While you hide, others are remembered. Because this world, it belongs to the ones who show up as themselves. No masks, no permission slips, no fake humility, just presence. And when someone praises you and you brush it off like it's nothing, you're telling yourself, I don't deserve this. When you win and immediately downplay it, you're training your subconscious to believe success is dangerous. And guess what? That belief becomes self-sabotage. Carl Jung would call it the construction of a false self, a socially accepted mask, but one that's hollow inside. And for what? So people who don't even love themselves can feel comfortable around you? That's not peace, that's prison. And true humility, it's not about hiding. It's about standing in your worth without having to scream it, but also without shrinking from it. It's knowing your value quietly, not erasing it just to be accepted. But here's the thing, most of you aren't denying yourselves out of virtue. You're doing it because of fear, conditioned fear, old fear, passed down fear, taught fear. And while you keep trying to stay small, your shadow, the side of you you've ignored, silenced, disowned, is getting louder. When you don't integrate your shadow, it doesn't just disappear, it possesses you. It starts leaking out in ways you don't even notice. Anxiety, procrastination, bitterness, insomnia, restlessness, apathy. It messes with your decisions, your relationships, your work, because it's tired of being buried. It's done waiting for you to notice. And when it explodes, and it won't be gentle. That emptiness you feel, that frustration, that constant exhaustion even when you've done everything right, that's your shadow screaming to be acknowledged. You're not just tired, you're spiritually malnourished because you've been starving your soul of truth. You keep acting like you're not powerful, and over time, you start believing it. You tell yourself you're just staying humble, but you're really choosing invisibility. And here's the messed up part. The longer you do it, the more you hate yourself for it. Quietly, slowly, like poison in the blood. And that self-hatred, it makes you insecure, it makes you small, it makes you easy to manipulate. Because someone who doesn't know their own worth is always looking for someone else to tell them who they are. That's how you end up chasing the opinions of people who don't even respect themselves. Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You keep saying, this is just how life is. Number. This is how you've been trained to exist. Quiet, careful, contained. But that's not your fate. That's your programming. You weren't meant to play small. You were meant to create, to lead, to speak with conviction, to take up space. You were meant to change the temperature in a room just by walking into it. Not because you're loud, but because you're clear. But clarity doesn't come from pretending. It comes from facing the part of you that's been dying to breathe, the part that knows what you're capable of, that remembers who you were before they taught you to fake it. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, because when you finally let go of that fake humility, you'll be left with something even more dangerous, your need for validation. Let's talk about it, because most people never do. You stop pretending you're small, good, that's step one. But now you crave something else. Approval, applause, recognition, likes, claps, shares, nods. You need someone to say, yes, you're worthy, now you can shine. And guess what? That's just another prison. Validation is a drug. And like any drug, it starts small. You get a little taste, a comment, a compliment, a glance, and it feels good. You feel seen. But then you need more, and now you're hooked. And here's the trap. When you start doing things for approval, you stop doing them from your truth. You become a mirror for what others want, not a reflection of who you are. You're not creating anymore, you're performing. And that performance, it's exhausting, because the one who depends on applause can never rest. You always have to be on, always proving, always earning. That's not self-expression, that's self-abandonment. You see, the system loves it when you need validation, because then you're predictable, controllable, malleable. If the system taught you to validate yourself, you'd be unstoppable, but it doesn't, because free people can't be manipulated. Free people don't bend to trends, they set them. That's why society prefers you pretending to be humble. or needing to be liked. Either way, you're not a threat. You're digestible, safe, mute, but the moment you no longer need approval, that's when you become dangerous. Because now, you're no longer driven by reaction. You're driven by conviction. And conviction doesn't beg. It doesn't please. It doesn't bend. It builds. And when you reach that place, that rare place of not pretending, not performing, not pleasing, you'll feel it. A strange silence, a stillness, no noise, no validation, just you. That's where your real life begins. And it's uncomfortable. Because you're used to the noise, the feedback, the dopamine, the "am I good enough" echo chamber. But the silence, that's your home. That's where you face the truth. Who are you without the applause, without the praise, without the "you're doing great"? What would you do if you knew no one was watching? Would you still create? Would you still speak? Would you still move? If that question scares you, then you're still not free. And freedom, that's the real goal. Not success, not fame, freedom. Freedom to be you, with no mask, no hunger, no leash. And when you taste that freedom, even just once, you'll never want to go back. Because suddenly, your presence is solid, your actions are clean, your power doesn't come from being seen, it just is. And everything starts shifting, not because the world changed, but because you stopped adapting to it. You showed up as you, unapologetically, unfiltered, and that's the rarest kind of rebellion left. That's why Carl Jung said the journey of becoming yourself, the process of individuation, isn't clean. It's not pretty. It's not Instagrammable. It's uncomfortable, lonely, messy, but it's real, and it changes everything. But you can't start that journey if you're still clinging to your false humility, or chasing applause like a trained dog waiting for a treat. You've got to let all of it go, all of it, and trust that when there's nothing left to hide behind, what's left is something real, something you. And here's the plot twist no one tells you. Once you've dropped the performance, once you've stopped needing permission, once you're standing in that brutal sacred space of just being yourself, another enemy appears. Not false humility, not validation, something deeper. It's the fear of your own power, not your weakness, not your failures, your power. You don't fear being nothing, you fear being everything, and what that would mean. Have you ever asked yourself why you procrastinate the moment you're about to do something meaningful? Why you hesitate just when it's your time? Why you suddenly feel tired, lost, unsure, right before the leap? That's not coincidence. That's the emergency brake in your subconscious. Because somewhere along the line, you associated power with pain. Maybe it was a moment in childhood. Maybe it was silent, subtle, but it hit you. You spoke your truth. Someone walked away. You shone too brightly. Someone felt threatened. You reached too high. And someone told you, know your place. So now, even when life hands you the mic, part of you flinches. Part of you pulls back. You say you want greatness, but a deeper voice whispers, what if you lose everything? That's not weakness, it's protection. Old armor you wore to survive, but now that armor is suffocating you. Because what once saved you is now your prison. And it shows up in tiny moments. How you speak about yourself. How you brush off compliments. How you give credit to everyone but yourself. How you're always downplaying your light to protect others from feeling small. But in the process, you amputate your own growth. And that's where responsibility comes in. Not the kind they taught you in school. Not guilt, not shame. The real kind. The kind where you finally say, I'm the one holding the leash. The power I fear is mine. The monster I run from is me. And not because I'm bad, but because I'm untapped potential. Potential I've avoided, buried, silenced. Because I was told it made people uncomfortable. And here's the brutal twist of fate. The more you run from it, the more you damage not just yourself, but the world. Every time you shrink, the world loses what only you could have brought. Every time you stay silent, someone else stays stuck, not knowing your words could have been the key. Every time you choose safety over truth, someone out there misses out on the version of you that could have sparked something in them. You don't just owe it to yourself to show up. You owe it to all of us, because no one else can do what you came here to do. That's not ego. That's impact. Your existence isn't neutral. It never was. Every time you speak, you influence. Every time you move, you shift the ground. Every time you choose not to, you delay a ripple that could have changed someone's life. And the most absurd part of all of this, they told you to be careful of being too much, too intense, too honest, too ambitious. But no one told you the real danger was being surrounded by people who were too little, in courage, in truth, in depth. And you shrunk to match them. Now, turning your volume back up, it feels terrifying. Because you know, people might leave, comfort zones might crack, relationships might break. Good. That fear is a compass. If it's not scary, it's not real. If it doesn't burn, it's not transformation. And once again, Jung was right. He said the journey to your true self isn't linear. It's cyclical. You fall inward. You shatter. You die symbolically. You lose who you thought you were. And then, you're reborn. But rebirth only comes when you face the one thing you feared the most, your own power. When you stop hiding it. When you stop diluting it. When you stop running from what you know you could become. And when you do, you no longer need to perform humility. You don't crave validation. You don't run from power. You direct it. You own it. You channel it. Not to dominate, not to feel superior, but to build, to create, to move, to shift conversations, to break generational chains, to be the first voice in the silence. And that is what sets you free. Not the applause, not the followers, not the praise, the real power, the one that whispers instead of screams, the one that just is. It doesn't need to be loud, because everything around it feels it. And in that presence, people either rise with you or fall away. Because when you respect yourself on that level, the world doesn't get a choice. It starts respecting you too. Not because you demand it, not because you chase it, but because you emit such clarity, such solid anchored truth. It has no option but to respond. And now you walk. You don't wait. You don't beg. You don't shrink. You don't apologize. You walk, whole, awake, unstoppable, and to the system built on insecurity and fear, you are a threat. Because you don't need permission to exist anymore. And if you've made it this far in this video, it's not random. Something in you already knows. Something's been stirring. A crack has opened. A part of you woke up. And it's not going back to sleep. Not now. Not after everything we've said. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you now know. You can't keep pretending you're okay playing small, because you're not. You never were, and you were never meant to be. So let me ask you now, what would happen if you finally stopped pretending? If you dropped the fake humility, the validation chase, the fear of power? What would happen if you stepped fully into yourself? No apologies, no filters, no masks, just you. This isn't some motivational fluff. This is your moment, your breaking point, your beginning right now. Before you click away, I dare you to do this. Go to the comments and write it. My shadow no longer controls me. I want to see who's ready, who's done hiding, who finally understands that integrating your shadow isn't weakness. It's where your real power begins. And if this moved you, even one line cracked your shell, then subscribe. Not for me, for you. Because this isn't a channel for pretty quotes and surface advice. This is for what burns, what transforms, what scares you because it's true. And maybe, just maybe, next time someone sees you, they won't recognize you, because you won't be performing anymore. You'll be you. No chains, no permission, no limits. And when that happens, no one can stop you. End of the mask. Beginning of your story. Let it begin.